right, good morning. Welcome, welcome. I'll just get settled here. Hopefully you all can hear me and see me okay. I thought I'd do another live stream. They're actually kind of fun just to see who shows up, see who is vibing with the frequency. But I have a really cool topic I want to open up for discussion. And anyone that comes into the room during this live stream, you can totally have a little mini reading and a free reading at that, which is super duper fun. So we are one day before the solstice. You can probably feel that energy building towards hopefully a peak of clarity, maybe a relief point as well. Sometimes you can sort of feel it building and there's themes in the air and you're having ideas around what you think the solstice is going to mean for you, but on the solstice day itself is the action part. So that can be the part where we clear our schedule, do some rituals, understand on a deeper level what this darkest night or brightest day is about. Hi, Belinda. Welcome, darling. Thank you for joining me. So, as I said, Belinda, I've got a really cool topic of conversation to open up. I think you're going to like it, based on a question that came through one of our YouTube subscribers. But also, if you'd like a free mini reading, let me know. Super potent time since we're one day away from the solstice. So things are really starting to refine, I guess, is a good word. You might find that there's heightened emotions today and tomorrow, just as some things crack through. Reverse oracle cards. Okay, let's get into that before you go. I'd really like to approach that. So if it's these oracle cards or any other oracle cards, mini reading as well, let's do it. Most of my cards should be up the right way. So welcome, Christina. Welcome, Heidi Bubbles. Let me know if you guys do want a reading. Otherwise, it's a Q&A as well. So if you have any questions about any topics whatsoever, please put them through. So 2 cards for Belinda. If you get reverse oracle cards, see if you can read the meaning as clarify the meaning and read the booklet or whatever it is, and then put in front there's either a delay or we're not quite there yet, or there's a barrier towards that. So it's almost like something trying to come through. It's letting you know that it's nearly there, but there's something stagnating the process. So sometimes it can be you're about to be as powerful as a bear, but you just haven't realized how yet, or there's a delay in that. So Spirit wants you to know that it's there, but you're probably not going to feel it or embody it or understand it because it's not there quite yet, but they still want to give you the heads up. All right, mini reading for Belinda before she goes. All right, darling, so hummingbird is about understanding that there's a whole bunch of things that you want and a whole bunch of fears that you have around it, but it's not action time yet. Let's hover, let's witness, let's observe. I want you to give it a bit of time, but you can still effortlessly seek out the information that you need and change according. So it's not a full-blown, let's get into it, here's the start, here's the finish. Hummingbird says, okay, well, what does it look like over here? And what does it look like over here? And what would happen if I did that? And what would happen if I did that? And I get that I'm scared of that. And I get that I'm scared of that, but it's not actually happening yet. And we're not actually doing it yet. So something is being observed and you're allowed to see it from every which angle. So that hummingbird is very agile. So dissect it, look at it. It's not about action. It's about awareness when hummingbird comes through. And for the wolf, first card in the deck. As we know, the wolf is diligent, disciplined, knows its role, sticks to the program, sticks to the expectation. But what I want you to understand is there's also a shadow aspect to wolf, that if there's too much routine, and if you're doing everything as everyone expected them to, and you're not stepping on anyone's toe, wolf is asking you to embrace that feeling of, well, I might have to be lone wolf here. I might have to extend beyond my role. I might have to do something scary, but I know that the right pack will be with me and I'll have the right resources when I do. So Hummingbird's like, let's get a look at this. Wolf says, if you're too comfortable and you're too much in routine and you're around people that don't want you to extend into your potential, have a look at that now. And there'll probably be some action in the future. So let's leave it till past the solstice and see what that action is about. It will probably be taking a step forward that scares you a little bit. So I hope that helps. Hope you have a beautiful lesson as well. All right, beautiful people in the room. Okay, you had Wolf the other day. Excellent. I'll be doing readings. I want to answer a question that came through one of our beautiful subscribers first. So the wonderful Diane Wolf was talking about ancestral curses based on one of the videos that I made. And she mentions that she's done a lot of really good work to clear her ancestral curses, but unfortunately that came too late in regards to her adult children and her grandchildren. She says that she's been suffering guilt, sorrow, remorse around she wished she had done it sooner. So I want to open up a perspective on that hopefully will help Diane Wolf process that something has happened in divine timing and give her a little bit more empowerment over the issues. So this does come up a lot. There's a lot of mother's guilt involved. When we are understanding and clearing ancestral curses as shamanic practitioners, we clear for the person next to us, so the person who is our client. And if we clear well, we clear the curse from all the other generations affected. So if this curse is 6 generations old, for example, we clear every ancestor, including my client's children and grandchildren, so that we can clear all of the energetic holdings that are still involved in that curse. Now, this is the interesting part. Even though we've cleared everyone, which means they're not going to unconsciously live out that curse and bring a whole bunch of bad luck to themselves, there is still the imprints and the memory. And what I think is the next step for a lot of people, it's usually the most spiritual, aware, wise one in the line that clears the curse, because they're the ones that saying, hang on a second, there's a lot of bad luck with money or relationships or abuse or whatever it is. Have I been taught this? Is this ancestral? Can I clear this? And they can, and we can do that for them. But then it's about having discussions with your loved ones around the depths and the details of where that came from, and trying to understand how it plays out, and trying to give autonomy and conscious choice back to your children and your grandchildren as well. So even if it's really about telling stories, that's why telling stories was so beautifully potent, particularly in ancient times, because it told stories that taught even children about the way of the world. So why not make up a story that says there used to be this awful curse that meant that none of us were good with money, or we all had gambling problems, or we're all alcoholics, or whatever it was. And it really took one person in the family to learn so much from it, they could clear it. And then they cleared everyone from the burden of that. And now we have this opportunity where we get to choose. So just because the curse is cleared doesn't mean that everyone miraculously wakes up and says, oh, I don't think I'm going to gamble anymore. It's more that the unconscious hooks and the edge and the timelines have cleared, which only gives them conscious choice. So they're more likely, let's say your adult children and your grandchildren, when they get older, they're more likely to say, hang on a second, is this a good choice for me? Or is this a choice that some of my predecessors did and it didn't work out for them? But if they don't know the stories and they don't know how it affected your life, then they can't make that conscious choice well. So when a lot of my students find out about their ancestral curses and they start clearing for their loved ones and their family members, we implore them to talk to their family members about it. So, what do we know about this ancestor 4 generations ago? What do we know about his bad luck or her bad luck? What do we know about what started it? What do we know about people's trauma? What do we know about these habits and these behaviors that are passed down? And get into the nitty-gritty of, it didn't work out for them. I'm deciding it doesn't work out for me. I clear the curse for me, but unless you have a very skilled shaman or someone else working on the lines for you, in our culture, because it's not so normal that we say, hey, I went to see a shaman and they cleared this curse, we're all now free, and everyone believes it, because belief systems are a big part of this. And a lot of spiritual people in ancestry are the lone wolf, the black sheep, whatever you want to call it, and they're not believed. So you say, look, I've cleared this curse, we're all going to be fine. And maybe your children, your grandchildren go, yeah, whatever. But what if we talk to them in language and terms that they could understand around these are the mistakes and the pitfalls of our ancestry. This is what is ingrained in our default programming. This is what gives you a higher tendency towards addiction and things. I want you to be very careful when you make those choices, because someone that is going out for a couple of drinks that comes from 8 generations of chronic alcoholics is so much more vulnerable in that situation than someone that came from people that never drank, because there's a predisposition in the line for that person to use that as something that they're trying to get away from that curse. Does that make sense? So that person needs the knowledge and the awareness to know I have a predisposition towards addiction. There's nothing I can do about who my ancestors were and the mistakes they made, but I can have autonomy and awareness around how risky is this for me? Am I aware of the ramifications? Do I want it to go the way it did for mom or grandma or whatever? And am I taking responsibility for that? So the big key with clearing curses is taking responsibility for where that ancestry lies. So knowing that on a grander scale, we chose the conditions of this incarnation, we chose our ancestors, we chose it all, but it doesn't mean, or it doesn't make it fair that I can't go into a bar and have a couple of drinks like everybody else. But if I own it and I take responsibility for it and I have the information around it, I can make sure that I am a pivotal part in that clearing, like say my mum was or my father was or whatever. So if my mum clears a curse for her and her generations, she gives me the option of choice. She doesn't give me the opposite of the curse. She doesn't give me this ability to never get addicted to alcohol or this ability to never want to gamble. She provides a barrier for me where I can go, oh, mum changed her life. That's interesting. The stories I've heard were that everyone was different before her. It still means I have somewhat of a predisposition, but if I have enough knowledge and understanding and I can talk to the person that broke the curse, I can actually sit there and think and listen with them around if I want to be part of the clearing or if I want to be part of that predisposition, because a lot of curses take a few generations to fully shift. And it's those pivotal couple of people in those generations that make the change. And I'm sure Diane Wolf is being a positive example of that clearing. And if even your adult children can see that you changed something, but please be vocal about it. You don't have to bark it down their throats. It's more just, the people that came before me predispositioned me to this abuse or this addiction or whatever it was. And I believe that it's up to me to change that and say that it stops with me. But I just want you to know that you have a predisposition and that curse was alive for a very long time. And this is the ways that I've helped to get us out of this. The traditional shamanic way would be that the person that lifts the curse, if they want to do better by their karmic lines, so if they want to do better by their children and their grandchildren, they still make offerings very often to their ancestors, to their guides, to say, I still want to offer you this abundance, this gift, so that you can help my children and grandchildren. Because maybe someone down the line did some very dirty things, some very dark things, as the ongoing generations we still feel the ramifications of that. So we can even make offerings for our lifetime to keep the bad, I'm using good and bad because it's easier terminology, but any negative effects from what that ancestor put in motion, we can make offering to our guides and to our spirits to say, please let it stop with me. Here is a gift to you to help the fortune of my line and my children. So here's an offering for you. Please let them be fortunate. Please let them be healthy. Please let them be wealthy. Please let them be abundant. Please let them be free of this. And we take ownership for the parts that we played out. I think doing something and understanding it and passing down wisdom is the way that we can get through that guilt and that remorse. And it's really about telling stories to your children and grandchildren about where they came from, what happened before them. A lot of us don't have that information. We don't have the medical history. We don't have any stories about what our ancestors went through that give us an idea about, why do I feel cursed in this area of my life? Why is there so much bad luck? Why is this so hard for me? And then we can open up that conversation that says, well, no one before you knew how to do it. No one before you was strong. No one before you was independent. No one before you was loving, or whatever it was. We have to learn that from the get-go. But there can be blessings as well through the lines. So if there's blessings through the lines, it means your ancestors did do well in those areas. They were strong enough. They had the ability to provide their own abundance, to work on their health and all that. They come through as blessings. And all you need to do, if you want the same blessings, is do as they did. But with cursing, you have to understand the pressure coming down the line, what you want to stand for, and how you're going to clear it within yourself. I know that's a lot of energy for one person to take, but then you can at least start the conversation and empower the ones that come after you to say, this is what works for me. This is why I did it. This is what I saw. This is what I know about your great-grandparents or whatever it is. And this is why it's really important to us. So there's also a lot of people that have ancestry with mental health. It's not their fault that their mother and their grandmother or the grandfather had mental health issues. But if we look at what's passed down, we can understand, okay, there's a predisposition here. There's a tendency for trauma to then express as addiction, mental health patterns, whatever it is. Therefore, I am likely, if I do everything my ancestors do, I am likely to follow the same path. That's what generational stuff does. It's meant to set us up for being strong and wise and wealthy, right? But sometimes it sets us up for failure and sorrow. So we take the bits that we like, we look at the bits that we don't like, we understand that we have power as spiritual people to clear curses, and there's a few different ways you can do that. And then we work on changing the lines and healing that. And the best way to do it is heal it within yourself. When I am traumatized or when I go through trauma, I choose to express that in a healthy, safe, loving way. And sometimes that is, instead of passing down the line, we're all broken, you're unworthy, you're not good enough, don't bother, don't try. We pass down the line. You know, sometimes things happen to us that we have no control over. However, it's what you do with those events. It's what you do with that part of your life that really counts. And just so you know, there's this flare in the family that I want you to be aware of, and you get to choose whether you're going to work towards that flare or not. And that brings everyone into conscious choice, but we need to have the info to make a good choice. So that would be my answer for that. And sometimes our people in our family don't want to go get clearings. They don't want to clear their own curses. They don't want to be in charge of that. So sometimes we just have to let that be as well. So some people don't want to change their cursing. Some people are attached to suffering. So for Diane Wolf, I'd say, well done for clearing it, because you've given your children and grandchildren the best possible opportunity to make conscious choice in their lives, but it's up to them whether they wake up or not, and it's up to them whether they ask you for help or not. But you can be an open book for, if you ever want to know more about your family or where this stuff comes from, please come and chat to me. I'm available, I'm here, and I want you to know as much as you need to know to make those conscious choices. So that open communication line, I think, is really important for our culture, because we don't have this automatic trust in spiritual healing, I guess, particularly in the realm of curses. So I hope that helps. Any other questions in the room? Otherwise, a couple of mini readings going out. Mini reading for Heidi Bubbles. Thank you for joining me. Oh my gosh, hummingbird in the air. I actually just put a hummingbird on my Instagram story too. So we are near the solstice. It's a pretty pinnacle time. So energy starts to consolidate. And when we get to that darkest moment, sometimes something can reveal, or it just feels like a density in sitting in something shadowy. So with hummingbird, whatever it is you're sitting in, whatever it is you're trying to digest, or whatever the problem is, say the problem is here and you're looking at it face on, and you always look at it face on. It's like, this is what it looks like. Hummingbird says, what does it look like from this perspective, and this perspective, and this perspective, and this perspective? So what does it look like from someone else's perspective? What does it look like from my guide's perspective? What does it look like from my past self perspective? What does it look like from my future self perspective? And get way more information out of the problem than you ever have before, because hummingbird has that ability. We lock onto a point of view when we're scared of something, but this is a more creative energy, and it's effortless the way that they move. They are looking for nectar at all times. What we're looking for here is the nectar in your problem. So what is it that I need to see so that I can unlock this problem, particularly if it's a long-standing problem? So making sure you're getting those different perspectives, that always really helps me. Sometimes talking to people about the problem helps, but if not, sit in meditation with your guides and see if you can visualize or understand through your senses what it looks like from many different perspectives. So when I started this work, it helped me to understand, like, what does it look like from a parent's perspective, and from a friend's perspective, and from my partner's perspective? How do they see it? Which means you got to get your ego out of there, but it really helps with that hummingbird medicine. So I actually imagine that fluttering bird, just looking at it from all different angles, looking for anything juicy that we need in order for you to solve the problem, find a creative solution, move forward, effortlessly approach your fears rather than charging at them, which can be, we can just charge at the same thing over and over again. And we have plenty of force and we try really hard, but we're not trying based on all the information. So that can be quite a stubborn, rigid way to do it, which we would approach if we got like the buffalo or a bear or something like that. So how do I pronounce your name? Is it Narak? Isadora? Either way, I love it. Thanks for finding us. Found me a couple of weeks ago. Love the content, energy, inspiration. Great. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm going to give you a mini reading for sure. You've been talking to your grandmother and mum about certain emotional mental patterns in the lineage, but I feel it's up to how much willingness there is to look at the patterns. Yeah, 100%. And it's difficult stuff, the generational stuff. They don't want to admit that there's problems. And this is the problem with the generation before ours that didn't want to talk about anything. But as they get into their elderly phase, I find they're a little bit more vulnerable and they open up a bit more, because then they really want to discuss what happened in their lives. And there's a less of a rigidity in what it means, because at the end of your life, you're a little bit like, well, it turned out all right. And I think they're a bit more willing to talk about it. So certainly craft your words well. I wouldn't be using curses, trauma, anything like that. I'd be asking curiously around, what did my ancestors love to do? And what did they find hard to do? And was there any big influencing stories there, or did anybody lose anyone? That can give you big keys about what actually happened. And you're looking for the keys of how do people deal with loss, trauma, and failure, because they usually set up as the strongest curses, which is what they send down the line: belief systems, habits, addictions, thought forms, entities, demons, cursing, all of that sort of stuff. So, Narak, if that's, I'm going to have to get you to help me pronounce it. You got the dugong. So, dugong is a lovely creature. In my experience, the shadow aspect of the dugong is, it's usually an indication to slow down, to be more playful, and to not take on other people's stress. So if you're in a tight unit, a tight family, if you're around people that you adore, please check in with yourself about how much you're taking on from those people, how much stress is yours. So I like to sit down and actually write down all the things I'm experiencing that are adding stress to my life, and then actually say, is this mine? Oh, no, wait, that's that person's stress. That's not mine. I mean, I'm upset that they're upset, but that's not actually my problem. That's not actually my responsibility. That's not actually my stress to take. And just clarify that for me so you can slow down and get into more of a slipstream. And slipstreams are like when we choose to surrender to the conditions that we can't control, when we realize there's something going on in the air that we don't actually really understand. We can force our way through, or we can just let go and let it all play out until we are clear about, is this the right way forward? Is this a decision I want to make? So just check in with the masculinized yang thought systems, which is I have to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to make this decision. Sometimes it's really good, particularly when dugong comes through, to just take your hands off the steering wheel for a little bit, glide into it, see what happens. Take responsibility only for your own stuff, make that conscious choice, reduce the stress levels, and see what plays out. So that would be my take on dugong for you, darling. Hi, Kelly. Welcome, darling. Hi, Michelle. Mini reading. Let's do it. Thanks, Heidi Bubbles. Jay, I will approach your comment in a sec. So, mini reading for Michelle Chambers. Oh, the duck. So the duck is about, and because these are shadow cards, what the duck is usually about is knowing that there's a capacity there to be in love with everything and everyone all the time, and for that to be easy. The shadow aspects are what's in the way of you embracing that paradigm. And most people would tell me, well, people let me down. I don't trust that person's unlovable, that person never reaches out to me, blah, blah, blah. The duck really reminds you that if you want to, and if you make conscious choice around it, you can have an unconditional and sustainable love frequency in your body at all times, right? And think about how happy they are and how much their tails wiggle and how they're always in twos or groups. Ducks to me are very joyful animals. They seem to have a nature to them that is light. So what is getting in the way of you experiencing that love and lightness? Because you can be in love with everything and in love with yourself, even if everybody else is falling apart. It is possible, but you have to consciously decide that. So I hope that helps. Jay, welcome to the room. I've been told that I cleared ancestor karma in regards to self-worth and abuse passed from maternal relatives, along with some other private issues. I lost my only child, so it is not being passed. Okay, so yes, I understand that you're clearing that. And just because you've lost your child does not mean that you don't have anything else to do the work for, because that curse probably ended with your darling child. However, even those that don't have children can work on ancestral curses, because we are still an influence to the community and the loved ones around us. If you know and love anyone, you are influencing them. So the old school way is only to be obsessed with ancestral paradigms. So that was the primary force back in the day, which was like, everybody has children, everybody passes it down, we all survive together. But now we seem to be breaking ancestral curses and trauma for the sake of humanity, for the sake of our community, for the sake of all men, for the sake of all people that have lost a child. It's like we can now branch out and be a example of what it means to have sovereignty and conscious choice around what we're going to take on and how we're going to pass it down. But remember, you don't need to pass it down to children. If you're a teacher, you're influencing children all the time. If you are in community groups, in friendship groups, if you have hobbies, you're still an influencing factor. So holding for you the healing of, I choose not to take on those shitty self-worth issues and that tendency towards abusive patterns. I decide that that stops with me, and I'm going to work really hard at it. And I'm sure you were a positive influence on your child anyway, but that still changes the generational lines. And how you deal with even losing your child speaks so loudly towards an example that other people can follow, right? So it's not what happens to us, it's what we do with what happens to us. We got to work with what we get, not for what we hoped for. We've got to understand that there's so much more effect and influence rather than just who we're passing it down to. If you think it on a frequency level, we're all improving our frequency to improve the frequency on the planet. Why are we doing it? So we can be a positive influence and a positive change in the world, or at least get through the human incarnation with a sense of purpose. So I think the times are changing now that our only purpose was to survive and have children and survive and have children. Now it seems to be a conscious choice how we thrive, and if we want to pass down those generational problems, and how we choose to live in sovereignty around what we've learned. So for you, it's really about, well, what would someone of really good self-worth that says no to abuse, how would they live, and what kind of life do I want? So I think even the awareness and the consciousness around that will improve your life for sure. That loss is big, that grief is huge. So please be kind to yourself and get as much support as you need. But I still think you've done really good work is my answer. Cool. And you're a social worker and work decades of child protection. Okay, so I understand why you're passionate about that work now, which is a beautiful service to offer humanity. You know, just a super compassionate, beautiful service. Just make sure you look after yourself. Compassion fatigue is real. So make sure you're doing it for you and for others, and you are changing all of their generational lines too. Because as soon as they see someone that cares and someone that's in service to a better life for them, then that brings hope and that brings a spark of conscious choice for them. So they can start saying, well, do I want to be like those people that are abusing me, or do I want to be like this beautiful person here trying to help, right? And they often, well, they have the choice to go on and be support workers and to help others as well, which is absolutely beautiful. Thanks, Kelly, for showing your appreciation to Jay as well. Mini reading for Indiana. Welcome, welcome. And welcome, Kelly. Thanks for tuning in. Where are you guys all from? I know I have some of my beautiful friends and Patreon members in here. I know where they're from. But where are you guys from? Michelle, Jay, Kelly, Indiana. Where are you guys tuning in from? Narak, if that's how I pronounce it. Okay, Indiana. Pheasant for you. Number 6, if you're into numbers. Canada, that's cool. So the pheasant is a stunning bird. I don't know if you have pheasants over there, but we have pheasants over here and they're absolutely stunning. They can be pretty harsh birds too. So they can be very opportunistic. They often lay eggs in other birds' nests and do all these really cool things. But the shadow card here around pheasant says, acknowledge that you're divinely beautiful, and the calling is to be spending time with people that know how beautiful you are and acknowledge that. If you're hanging around with people and you're strongly influenced by people that see only your negative and only your weaknesses and only your setbacks, then pheasant says you've got to make a change here. You either step up for yourself, set a boundary, or you realize that that situation is not working out for you. So this is really a calling to, do you have things in your environment that are reflecting to you how beautiful your soul is and how beautiful you are? And if not, what kind of capacity do we have to change that? Because it's important. Now, personally, I prefer to have only a few people around me that really get who I am and think that I'm a beautiful person, rather than be around a whole bunch of other people that don't understand me and think I'm this, that, and the other. I guess the take is, be selective with who you have around you. This is about who's in my inner circle. If it's the top 5 people in my inner circle that influence me the most, how am I being influenced right now? Who have I let into my inner circle? Where are my boundaries? And who am I letting into that divine beauty that my soul is trying to express? And notice if you are being selective in that, and if you are honoring it as well. So if you've got really cool people around you, your inner circle's tight, you've got good boundaries, you let the right people in, you keep the other ones over there, and that's great. Are you super excited and grateful for that and you're letting them know? Or have you got a bunch of people around you, or maybe it's just one that really doesn't get you and really isn't shining beauty back to you, and you don't have good boundaries and you haven't told them that this isn't working out for you because they are reflecting blah, 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 and you actually deem yourself more worthy of positive influence or whatever it is. So I hope that helps, Indiana, from Sydney. Awesome. Let me know if that resonates, and let me know who or what is around you to bring that card through. What's going on? Jay, of course you can have a mini reading. Thank you for asking. I'll hope to do a lot more of these as well every month. So that'll be awesome. Yes, thank you. Good. All right, Jay. The buffalo. Very strong creature. Now, you told me that you're a social worker. Now, having a buffalo in social work is going to be an incredible resource for the world. Buffalo talks about, it's not exactly what you say, it's not how brilliant you are, it's not how well you dress or whatever it is. For buffalo, it's your presence, just your presence, the fact that you are there, which makes people feel strong, which makes them feel like they can relax a little bit, which makes them feel like they are safe. And for someone with a buffalo totem, all we would do is send them into a room and everyone relaxes. If you send a hummingbird into a room, everyone goes, oh, what's happening? Oh, okay, right, we're awake. You send a buffalo into a room and everyone calms down. They're usually that person where they're like, oh, okay, he's here, we can all relax. Okay. There's someone here holding down stability, safety, self-responsibility, groundedness, whatever it is. I guess the shadow aspect is you need to understand that. So understand the power and the medicine in just your presence. And know that, you need to look after yourself to be that strong, sturdy person. You need to work on that beautiful energy. So work on it well, and know that all you need to do, you don't need to perform, you don't need to prove your worth, you don't need to say the right things, you just need to be there. So any room that you're in, you will add that nature to it, And everyone, whether they're super onto it or not, their nervous system will just regulate slightly and go, I feel much better that person's in here. I have a few friends like this, actually. And if anything goes haywire or chaotic or there's drama in the room, if they're there, they act like an anchor. It's just this force where you know that they're going to hold it down no matter what, right? They're not going to be the ones that go into a fight and flight response. They're not going to be ones that stress out. They're just going to be like, no, we're good. We'll get through it. No worries. Yep, let's do it. Just another day, right? So I feel that's something that you need to hear and also embody and know in full force that that's what you're bringing to the table, to the room, to your work, to your family, to your friends. So needing to connect more with community and find my tribe to bring out the best. Yeah, I think you find a bunch of people that you can be that buffalo for. And you might need to find people that love that about you, but they're different. And that's great. So you're going to need the hummingbirds and the dolphins and the wolves and the eagles and everything in the room together, but we all need a buffalo as well. And I think it's really like honoring that role, that that's what you can do for people, and knowing that if they settle in your presence. So this can be really cool when you're calling in Soul Tribe too, and you're aware that you need people, but you're going to be selective and you want it to be deep and you want it to be respectful and you want them to be like awesome, rad people, right? If you start meeting people and connecting with people and you notice that you have that calming effect on them, and if they're aware enough to say it, then you know that that buffalo presence is really vibing with them and they get it. Because you want people to get you on a deep level. So if they understand that your presence is providing that for them, then I think that's a really cool indicator that they might be your people. Just throwing that out there. Kelly, what kind of golden nugget of wisdom are you looking for, my darling? Okay, good to hear, Jay. I reckon, yeah, care and love yourself a little bit more. Find those beautiful people. Let them support you like you support them. And yeah, let's get to that authentic nature, which we all crave, which is just walking our talk, being who we are, and waiting for the right people to just really dig it. Mini reading, of course, Kelly. Let's do it. What kind of golden nuggets do we have? I keep on grabbing my cup but not drinking. What is going on here? Okay, you got dugong as well. Similar themes in the room, right? It's so interesting even when we do lives, when people show up in the same room and there's such similar themes or there's such a similar resonance or there's such a similar frequency. And that's why I love doing live streams, because it's like the beacon goes out and whoever's ready for the style or the message is just attracted to it, and everybody else that's not, it doesn't even blip on their radar. So yeah, it is a cute cup, isn't it? My friend makes those, so I love them. Dugong, again, is about slowing down, separating your stress from other people's stress, realizing where you're taking responsibility for others people's stuff, their problems, their setbacks, their drama, their crap, and understanding that this part is about finding a slipstream and just cruising through, right? So this part is just about taking your hands off the wheel for a moment and saying, okay, I get that a lot of this is outside of my control. You can speak to your guide and say, I would like it to be, or this is where I'm trying to go. But this part is not about rigid action. This part is about slowing down, going back into observation mode, realize you're taking on stress from other people. If you're a natural empath, that's going to happen a lot if you're hanging out with stressed people. So we have choice. You can either work on your etheric layers to say, look, I'm going to go into this group of people. These are my boundaries for my energy. I don't really want to take on anyone's stuff right now. You can observe it, you can see it, you can feel it, but don't take it on as yours, please. I know as natural empaths, you can walk into a room and you know exactly what is happening in all of them. You're upset, but you're not seeing it. You're devastated. You're anxious. This is going on. But you can just observe it without needing to be like a moth to a flame, because a lot of empaths go, that person's in pain, I'm going there. But you can just say that person's in pain. That's interesting. And being a stable, ready force, if that person asks for help, great. And then you have every right to say yes or no based on where your stress levels are. But go into slipstream mode, which is take your hands off the wheel. I'm just going to let a few things happen. I'm not going to force anything. I'm not going to control anything. I realize that that's yours, that's yours, that's yours, that's yours. What have I got left in the pile? Actually, I'm pretty sweet when I let it all go. But there's something that you're absorbing that's not yours. So it could be an environment coming from a person, coming from something around you. Just sit down and have a really good thought pattern around, is that mine? Should I be taking that on? Why am I experiencing the cortisol for that person, for that place? It can be just a lot of stress in the workplace or stress in the home for some reason. The dugong says slow down and just be the one force of peace and patience, and that's enough to change the environment, right? So dugongs just chill. They're pretty chill most of the time, and they love to be in big groups. But that comes with consequence, doesn't it? It comes with being around people's wants and needs and thoughts and stresses all the time. So just separate. There's a pile on the table of things you're stressed about. Write them all down. Is that mine? Nah, cross it out. Is that mine? Nah, cross it out. Is there anything I can do about that? Nah, cross it out. And just get it back to like, where are you at and what pace do you want to be going at? So spot on. Excellent. Cool. All right, my dears. Any questions around the readings that you got? Any other content we're putting out? We do have a bit of a thought form conversation arising around ancestral curses, how that's passed through the generations, how you can clear it, and how you help clear your loved ones too. Is there any questions around that topic of conversation? And I also will take some requests. If you have any requests for content that you'd like me to make, conversations you'd like me to open up, videos you'd like me to do, books you'd like me to read, chuck it in the chat bar. I'm super open to all of that. Just really happy to serve you guys, and I really appreciate you tuning in and being really open and honest and courteous and respectful here. So that's really beautiful. And thank you for sharing some big stories as well. And I hope Diane Wolf can see this too. And good to see some of the Patreon members in the room. So appreciative that you're here and just being that positive voice in the room always. So if there's nothing else, self-work and finding your community. Well done, Heidi Bubbles. Love it. Do you want me to speak on that? It's really interesting that you said that, actually. I've been trying to craft a video series around calling in your soul tribe. Yeah, cool. So I'll give you a crash course, shall I? When you're ready to call in your soul tribe, so this is people that are aligned with your soul, right? We realize that post-awakening and healing journey, you were kind of a different person, attracting different people. You make a conscious decision that that's not really your vibe. You don't want to be that person, or you don't want to attract those people anymore. You go through a period of loneliness that is very important for the healing journey. Some people are there for a couple of years. So just be okay with that part, because loneliness and being okay with yourself is the point before you start calling in other people. Because when we call in soul tribe, we're calling in creative, awesome, aware, highly evolved people that are complex, right? We want really rad people in our lives, but they come with all of this stuff, right? And you'll notice that being in a lower vibration, being somewhat unconscious, just attracting situations to wake you up, means that you can hide a lot of stuff. You can be shallow, you can be whoever you want to be. But when you call in soul tribe from a place of awareness, there's a level of awareness there that means that person or those people won't let you get away with the same things. So we really have to be autonomous, authentic, and ready, I would say. I would do it one by one, calling in one person at a time that resonates with your soul. I would use 3 words. I want them to be respectful, kind, aware, funny, insightful, inspired, whatever it is. Pick 3 words. Now, I've done a lot of this work with my clients, and please be aware that this takes time. Because as soon as you start creating consciously and you say to my guides, okay, bring me one person in my soul tribe, a friend, a lover, someone that feels like family, a mentor, or someone that provides a healthy relationship for me, that understands who I am. You send it out to your guides. I want them to be this, this, this. You wait. And you put it on your altar and you spend time on it. I am still dedicated to finding this friend who is aware and funny and respectful, or whatever it is. And you call them in and you wait for them. Now, you might be out there meeting people, you might be on dating apps, you might be doing all sorts of things. And if you are, whenever you meet someone, whenever you get a sense of connection, you're remembering your intention, which is, I ask for a kind, funny, respectful person. Is this that person? Now, with divination skills, psychic abilities, or whatever, even if you've got a good connection with your higher self, you can be asking your higher self in meditation, is this the person that I asked for, yes or no? If it is, you enter a contract and a relationship with that person with integrity, intention, and the highest forms of respect that you can. Because how you start a contract is so important. Think about all the contracts that you've started with so many people. How it begins and how aware you are of the beginning is really important. Now, most people like to enter with high states of communication because they've realized over their lives that the communication is really important. So from the get-go, you hand over and you put your cards on the table, so to speak. So you put your cards on your table about who you are. Hey, I know we just met, but I really think we've got a cool connection. And all I'm really looking for is a friend to like go out to coffee with every now and then. But just to let you know, I really value communication and respect, and I think you're really cool. Are you up for it? They get to say yes or no. Rather than pretending and waiting for people to initiate, it's really like, I've been asking the universe for this friend, and you show up 3 months later, and I'm fully committed, but this is who I am. Yeah, I'm someone that would work on friendship for 3 months. I'm someone that would read books about how to make this better, or whoever you are, but we treat that person with respect, and we go in with as much integrity and intention as possible. And we realize that soul connection takes investment. So we have to work on our trust issues. We have to work on our communication. We have to work on our boundaries. We have to work on not making the same mistakes as we made before. So even when it's friendship, if there's no communication, there's no boundaries, there's no ability for that person to take responsibility for who they are, then that's my indications that it's not the relationship I've been working towards. So if I say like, hey, I'd really like to see you, but my boundary is that I only have this amount of time, or that I don't really like going out to bars, or I don't want to talk about this subject, and that doesn't register and they can't meet me where I'm at, then I would say, okay, well, it's not a match for me. Because if that basic conversation can't be held, then I know that the work that I've done is more important than just a quick fix friend scenario. Does this make sense? So if you're in the loneliness bit, you're going to be in there as long as it takes for you to be ready for the right style of connection. So if your guides are looking in and saying, I know she's lonely, but if we send her someone, she's likely to repeat toxic behaviors, whether it's codependency, attachment, overgiving, under-receiving, love bombing, whatever it is, They want to wait until you're confident and well and loving of yourself enough to have boundaries, to have autonomy, to have sovereignty, to have all those things that we need in healthy relationship. And we bring it to the table, the ability to say like, hey, I don't think it's really healthy that I really need to talk about this thing and you gaslight me straight away. Can we get around this? And it doesn't mean you have to talk like that, but I think ask yourself if you're actually ready for soulmate territory stuff, because soulmates have the ability to wake you up very quickly and it can be chaotic. It's depth that you've wanted your whole life. And this doesn't have to be lovers, friends, associates, collaborators, distant relatives, peer groups, mentors, coaches, whatever. If you're not ready for the depth and the healing involved, then be honest with yourself that right now it's actually better that it's just me and me, because I've done so much work and I'm doing well. Loneliness we can work with. Loneliness, once you're used to it and you accept it as part of your awakening journey, actually becomes a comforting force that you're doing something that's really important. So loneliness also says, I am mourning the connection I used to have because I know now that that doesn't work for me. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes as my past. I'm looking for something better, but if I'm honest with myself, I'm not ready. Because people bring their own set of needs and wants and desires, particularly Soul Tribe. Soul Tribe is, I really get where you're at and I want to support you. Here are my boundaries. Here's my communication style. Here are my setbacks, my weaknesses, and my shadow tendencies. Here how I'm likely to sabotage the connection. We need a lot of support to go into Soul Tribe territory to maintain it and sustain it. So I want to give you a snapshot of the work involved. One day you'll be there and everyone around you will just signal to you how wonderful you are, and there'll be depth and there'll be respect and there'll be abundance. But right now, if you're in the loneliness phase, you're still awakening. And we don't want to run the risk that you go out and repeat the same mistakes and end up in a loop or a pattern of, fuck, I can't believe I did it again. Why am I here? I'm always here. We want to sit in all of the learning and all the growth first. In that space after profound awakening. That's excellent, Jay. Well done. Yes, yes. Everyone agrees. Yes, cool. So I love that clarity, Heidi. I'm okay with being alone as I prefer to be by myself rather than with people not on my vibration, right? That's a beautiful place to be. You're deciding that you would be better off without a lot of people that are distracting you, traumatizing you, being toxic forces in your life. You don't want to go out and just hang out with someone for the sake of it, because you're probably likely to come home and go, that didn't feel good. I don't like that. Sit in that. It's going to be longer than what you had hoped for. And remember, the other stuff is just your ego saying, oh, well, I should have more friends, or I should have a loving partner, or I should have this by now. Please delete all of that. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Your guides are watching. They know when you're about to be ready. They'll start opening the door. And when you're feeling like the craving for all of those things is there, and you have the resources, I've got the time and the energy and the money to deeply connect and support someone and be there for them and be an awesome force in their life and bring to the table a full cup, then we start calling in one by one. This is what I'm bringing to the table. This is what I hope they would be. I want to be this person for them. How do I do that? I got to be this from the beginning. And we do it well and we do it right. And even that process has trial and error. So if you've got a really prominent, unhealed abandonment wound, we're going to have to deal with that before you go out and be honestly high integrity with people, because they're going to be like, look, you're awesome, but I just see how deep you are or how invested you are or how healed you are, and I'm just not ready. I don't really have that. I'm just over here having fun. So, and you go, yep, cool. Thank you for letting me know. Totally get that. Not right now. Great. Or many people, you'll be able to say, look, you're awesome, but you're a hot mess right now. I can see that your life's falling apart and you've just left your partner and your kids and all this sort of stuff. As much as I would love to be there for you, I know that I don't have the resources right now to be the friend that I know you need. So if I let you go and if I'm respectful in that, then you might find someone that can just be on the phone and be there with you and help you through this transition. So I think that level of integrity is really important. And even if we hope to get there one day, it's really about like, what have I got? What do I need? What are my resources? Do I have the capacity to take on a really beautiful, deep, authentic, aware, intuitive, creative friend, partner right now? And if I'm not, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until I really am, because I really want it to go well and I really want to change my cycles and my patterns. So, Tammy, you can ask a question. Thank you for joining us. We've got about 5 minutes left. Let's go for it. Jay says, I had a third interview for social work. Yeah, I can. How are you feeling about the position, Jay? Yeah, we get that a lot. I was told by my guy to not go out and go looking for your tribe. They will come to you. And strangely enough, they do. Because when you like go out and you're like, yeah, I'm going to find a friend. I'm going to go to this gathering. I'm going to go to this thing, and you're vibrating it. Send me a friend. Sometimes your guides don't want it to be in your egoic terms, but then you'll just be walking along the street one day and you'll bump into someone, and that starts something more beautiful than ever you could think. So there is an element of sit back and trust and surrender. You put the vibes out, you tell your guides, hey, I'm looking for my soul tribe, I'm ready. We sit back and we allow it to happen, and we see who comes into our sphere. Because if we force everything and we go out and say, hey, I'm going to find my soul tribe, we're not actually trusting in spirit. I think the work can be done as like, I'm ready for when they show up. And we lose control over making them show up on time or making them show up in a certain way, right? We just remain open and prepared. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what the doctor was intense is about. The energy around that position comes through with frog. So remember, frogs are very happy in the water, but they also need to navigate outside the water. So it's this jump and this leap between comfortable and not comfortable, comfortable and not comfortable, comfortable and not comfortable. They need to leap into uncomfortable so they can go back into the waters, because they're very comfortable in the water at a certain temperature. So the shadow aspect of that is you have to take leaps of faith, which you're meant to be uncomfortable about. Please don't let it be about your worth. If you leap into the new job, you're going to be uncomfortable, you're going to be challenged, it's going to feel weird, but that's not about how worthy you are. That's just about you leaping from comfort into discomfort until that becomes comfortable again. So the self-care and the things you need to do to take the leap, because I know a lot of people with frog totems and they either leap too much or they stay too comfortable. It seems to me that the job will be a leap of faith, but it will become comfortable. So if it's uncomfortable, I think it's probably a good scenario. But just be mindful that there's going to be some self-worth come up. So just tend to yourself in that, right? Just be like, I know I'm feeling unworthy because I made a mistake. I'm feeling unworthy because these people are blah, 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 blah. Just be mindful that that's coming, and bring yourself as much soothing self-care support as you possibly can. So that can be nourishing your nervous system, getting better with your food, making sure you have friends to talk to, things to do after the leap. So If it was a new job and I was actually like quite tense about it because I really want it to work out, I would go to the new job and then I would just soothe myself all afternoon and all night. Yet knowing that the thoughts of the ego are going to come up and they're like, you weren't good enough, you didn't do a good job, oh, you should have done this better. I just be like, that's fine. I'm just going to soak in the bath and be who I need to be and try again tomorrow. Okay. Tammy, how can I help the owners to stop the corrupt council at our condo? There's just a bit of a problem with your question. And I don't need to nitpick, but if we're going to ask Spirit a question, help the owners to stop the corrupt council at our condo. I'm wondering what outcome you want. I get it, Jay. I totally get it. I fight with my ego every day too. Good morning from Sydney. Hi, 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 hi. Oh, yeah, I think it feels good, Jay. Just going to be outside of your comfort zone. So you and your ego need to make friends before you go in there. Tammy, I'm going to pull a card for you. For something you need to know so you can help the owners stop the corrupt council at your condo. I feel there's a tense situation going on there. I want you to know outcome to remove them from council. Black Cockatoo talks about permission and worth coming from within. So know you are worthy of, know you are powerful enough, know that you have everything that you need to make the situation work in your favor. So align your intentions. I want you to set an intention and ask your guides, this is what I want. And make sure that that intention and the outcome is based on good deeds, the best scenario for many, and knowing that you will be grateful and understanding of the abundance if it comes. So Black Cockatoo says you got everything that you need, but you have to believe in yourself. You have to give yourself permission to know you can have and want and desire something. Then once you know and you realize how powerful you are, you bring all forces to the table. So if it was a client or a student of mine, I'd say, well, what do you want? Do you realize that you're worthy of it? Talk to your guides about what you could get or achieve if you got the outcome that you want. So we don't say like, hey, I want a bunch of money. We say, if you could allow the money to come into my life, I would really love to do this good thing and this good thing and this good thing and this good thing. Even if it's, I'd love to get a better car so that I can be more calm, so I can be working harder at my job and looking after the people around me and doing good things for humanity or whatever it is. They want to hear that if they clear the path for you, that you have a sense of care and love and abundance and truth for more than just yourself, right? Any egoic wants, if we say like, I want it to work out because fuck that person, I would be worried about the energetics of that, because they're going to be like, is this a revenge plot? Why am I opening this up if she just wants to? But if you say, if I get to that outcome, I believe that I can be confident and abundant enough to be kind and to be the best owner of that land, or the best caretaker of that house, or the best person in this community, or whatever it is, and I'm dedicated to that. See the difference in the intention? So if it's to remove them from council so that the council can become a better force, so that they can do better in the world, then you ask for the negotiation of, this person's really letting the situation down, and I believe and I'm dedicated to an outcome that benefits most, and this is what I'm asking for. Make sense? All right, lovelies, thank you for joining me. That was super duper fun. There'll be heaps of videos coming out. At the start of the month, I'm going to go back to doing the astro readings. They're free. We just want to give them out to you guys to serve whatever you need. And then the live stream will happen the middle-ish of every month, so pay attention to that. We'll do our best to put out some content around when the live streams are coming up, but otherwise, if you're not following Instagram or Facebook, jump on there and give me a follow there too. My personal page is Heather May Layton on Instagram, but we also have the Ankara Academy on Instagram, so find me there. And if you love readings and you love this kind of style of content, we do this all day long on Patreon, but we do it with structure. We give you challenges, live streams, coaching sessions, book clubs, forums, so that we can really get through that spiritual awakening and healing journey for you guys. So I love you all so much. Thank you for tuning in from Sydney and Canada and everywhere else. And I hope that helped. And I will see you again soon. Bye. Love you.